Good evening. This is the video newsletter for Buy Sell Short for Tuesday, November 1st. If you've been watching the business media or the news channels, the end of the world struck yet again. And the epicenter, as usual, was Europe. This time, that idiot Greek Prime Minister Pompidou, or whatever the hell he calls himself, decided out of the blue yesterday to say, hey, we're going to hold a referendum and let our disgruntled citizens vote on the bailout package we agreed to last week, and down went the futures. And what sucks is we had a big sell-off yesterday, sort of the same thing, rumblings, shorts picking at the bailout plan that was done, and then we had that MF bankruptcy that supposedly was a surprise to everyone, even though the stock lost 75% of its value the previous week on its earnings report, downgrades, and bankruptcy rumors. And so for some reason, that was news yesterday. This morning it came out that there's possible fraud or likely fraud involved. $1 billion missing. They commingled customers' funds and traded it. And this is a company run by the ex-Goldman Sachs top guy. And that news, coupled with the European Greece nonsense, was all it took. We had a fat gap down this morning. If you were trading off that rule, and actually let's look at the SMH. SMH down, 70 cents plus on the open on very low volume. If you jumped in at the lows, which were hit on the open at 30.63, you actually were able to get a nice 50-cent pop or a 25-cent quick move. And I continue to say, whenever you see the SMH gap down big on extremely low volume, no matter what the news flow is out there, 9 out of 10 times if you jump in, you'll get a really quick scalp. But as for the market, we had a couple of rumors with a huge bounce back. Mid-morning in the indices, Dow popped like 110 points in a matter of like 1 minute, and the reason for that was they were saying that the referendum was pretty much a dead deal because the Greek government is expected to collapse tonight. Now, European governments and U.S. governments, just to give you a quick tutorial, are not the same. Governments dissolve and collapse all the time in Europe. There's a bazillion parties. It's not like our two-party system. Some of these countries have 10, 20 parties, and they all come together. They make a government. When they disagree, they disband, and they hold new elections. So we had that out there. Brief bounce back in the market, and then the robots took control going into the last hour. Looked like we were going to bounce again, and it was just one of those big up, big down, robots dominating session. Going into the close, big sell-off, 100 points. Funny thing is, the second after the markets closed, the futures were rallying. One of the stocks, actually, let's pull that up real quick. TZA, just to give you an example, one of those triple scam, ultra short funds, that was down $1 right after the close. So, what's probably going to happen, barring, Europe sinking into the sea again overnight, is, we'll have the futures up 40 or 50 points. Probably, just based off the after-hours action. We'll get a better idea in the morning. We've got the Fed announcement tomorrow. We have yet to have one of our Fed rally moves. Sorry, got a little distracted there. COCO, C-O-C-O. And actually, let's pull that up while I'm talking about it. One of our little gapper plays that we jumped into in the chat room. 225 and after hours, if you're paying attention here. That was our first target, so definitely book some. I would look to buy back this one tomorrow on a retrace, and that secondary 225 break, we'd be looking for 236 and 275, but we jumped into this one for a nice little gapper play, and it's up nicely from our entry. Anyway, back to the markets. Looking at the 15-minute chart on the Dow, after the 600-point ass whoop on the market has taken over the last 2 days, oh look, we're back to where we were 4 days ago. The travesty of it all. And we've just completed a nice little 38% Fibonacci retracement, a little bit more downside, and we could see that if we flip over to the daily chart, we've retraced back to the 20-day exponential. I continue over and over my videos over the last 10 years to hammer home the point that the 20-day exponential is one of the best moving averages there is, in my opinion. Stocks that stray far from it always bounce back to it, especially on the upside and on the downside. Great little moving average tool. You don't need a PhD or one of these robot programs to play a simple moving average trade like that. Anyway, as for the daily chart, we could see further downside to the 50-day moving average. Remember, I went over all of this in the Sunday video. None of this should be a surprise. Yes, the move down is pretty rapid, 600 points over the last couple of days. But, that's the nature of the beast in this market. One thing to keep in mind, the negative news flow we had floating around there this morning, like I said in the chat room, back in July and August, the average market tank on the nonsense was about 400-500 points. We moved into August, September, that dropped to about 300 points or thereabouts. Now, October, 200 to 300. So hopefully this is it for November. We're slowly starting to get smaller and smaller big drop days, if that makes sense. We were majorly overbought. 1 month, 1,900 point rally. We can retrace 900 points and still be fine and dandy here. The robots that are trading this market right now are just hurting traders like they're sheep. And actually, a quick note on that, I've been reading some nonsense on the message boards and on Twitter over the last few minutes that transaction tax on stocks and bonds, that's continued to be floated around over the last 3 years. Those two idiot Democrat lawmakers again proposing it, that has a snowball's chance in hell of passing, in my opinion. Rick Perry or Kaine have a better chance of getting elected presidents, which, by the way, I think is a zero chance, than that transaction tax being passed in its present form. So just a lot of stupid hype out there on the net tonight. But, if you think about it, the transaction tax they are proposing is really minuscule. I think I read somewhere the money is $30 tax on 100K of stocks that are bought. That's actually a good thing if you think about it. What's decimated this market, in my opinion, over the last couple of years are these high-frequency trading robot bullshit programs that are out there where they get to front-run us illegally and, just manipulate stocks and, it's ridiculous. A tax like this would wipe those firms out, and the market would going back to being exactly what it was a few years ago. But anyway, off that pedestal about talking about that nonsense. If you hear anything about it, don't worry. It's stupidity. It gets floated up every few weeks. 20-day, as I mentioned, we're there at support. Let's pull up the SMH. SMH all the way back to the 20-day. We actually picked up a scalp position in the chat room, quarter position, 30.80s. For a bounce back up to the 31 plus area. What we're banking on is a gap on the market tomorrow, and a move with the Fed is essentially what that trade is. And, despite the negativity that was out there in the market today, things were not that bad. There was a lot of speculative money out there chasing breakout plays left and right, like COCO, and a lot of other ones like SIFY. We alerted in the chat room, damn, I wish I'd bought that one. I alerted, never bought. Damn thing ran 50 cents or 30 or 10%. So there are plays moving in this market. And actually, let's jump into a couple here. CYTR, finally, she broke out yesterday on some very nice news, up to 40 cents, and then that douchebag seller appeared. He's not really a seller, he's a buyer, but he again appeared, walked us down, painted the close. Frustrating play. But if we look at the chart, stochastics are almost down to that happy bounce points, 50 level. So that's what we'd be looking for the next move higher. We're just making a slow or a higher base, slowly moving forward. D-Day for the big move, I think, is going to come the week of November 18th. ZHNE, nice little retrace on this one today. $1 break will set it free. I like this stock a lot. And this is one I'm going to continue to hold on to. Now, quick mention on Dexo. This is one we jumped into for the Groupon IPO, which is expected to IPO on Friday. These guys report earnings on Wednesday after hours or Thursday pre-market. So even though the chart looks really, really nice here, might be worth your while to err on the side of caution, sell out, rebuy Thursday after the earnings report is out for the Groupon IPO on Friday. If you're so inclined and a little skittish on the market and want to play it a little bit safe, that would be the strategy there. CXM looked great yesterday. Market hindered it today. 38-cent stops on this one if you're playing it. Breakout, if you want to wait for an ad, 42 cents would be where you add this one. Again, target has moved to 50 cents plus, but it's okay to reduce this position or just wait it out for a break above 42 cents. If you're a little bit nervous on this market, that's fine to be that way. Last but not least, PopScan. You know, we were at, what, 1,500 plays on it a week ago. We went down to 3 plays today. 3! Under the $15 mark. That is an extremely low level and typically implies a nice little snap back in the market. So let's see. 2 of the stocks on the PopScan were Coco, which we jumped into and already hit our first target in after hours. And the other one is INHX, and this was actually on the PopScan for today. Nice little break at 420, 450 plus targets tomorrow. Could get a nice little run into its earnings report, and there has been some very nice buying on this one over the last week. At any sort of green market tomorrow, I think this one could be a nice little runner. Also, given that the PopScan and the market today, I would actually reuse the PopScan list that was sent out yesterday for tomorrow. So that is the list for tomorrow. The PopScan will be the plays we had today, plus the 2 I just mentioned, INHX and COCO. So that's it for the video tonight. You know, be patient, guys. You know, this noise in the market, we were deeply overbought. You know, we got some bullshit excuse to take us back down. We got a little bit of panic and fear in the market, but funds are chasing performance. And look how quickly the market turned intraday when we had even a rumor of that Greece deal or vote falling through. The market rallied 140 points at one stage. So that just tells you the buyers are out there looking for an excuse. And essentially the market is just like it was back in October. And look how great it was swinging that, you know, buy the dips, sell the rips. And that's probably going to continue. So that's it for the video. Any questions? Feel free to shoot me an email. Otherwise, I will see you guys in chat room tomorrow. Good night.